The Canadians, but none like the Boston Celtics. And that dynasty still lives, and the major reason is its architect, Red Auerbach. Today, his kingpin, his main pin, Larry Bird, probably the best player in the game. You know, Red has always said that if he had to start a team, the man he would take first is Bill Russell. But even Red Auerbach changes.
Well, it used to be Bill Russell. Now Larry Bird's pushing him pretty good. And if I had to choose between them at this point in time, that would be one of the great decisions of my life. I wouldn't know
which way to go. You mean to start a franchise?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Serious.
I mean, Russell changed the whole face of defense in the NBA.
Yeah, but you still have to... See, you need players naturally to go along with both of them. But Larry, see, he's not a bad rebounder.
No, he's not. He's a tough rebounder.
And he's not a great defensive player as an individual. But he's pretty good as a team defensive player. But he's so smart, and he's a great shooter, and he's a great passer. And he can do so many things. He makes all the other players around him better. Of course, Russell does that too. He make the other play. That's a sign of greatness. I think right now Larry has got it. I think Magic has got it. Those are the two that make the other players so great.
Red, do you make a basketball player as a basketball player born?
Well, you've got to be born with certain potentials.
Yeah, but Larry's not a great jumper. He's not real fast. And yet, there's a quality about him that made you compare him with Russell.
See, Russell would be highly motivated and self-motivated and motivate others on most games. But this guy is that way all games. That's what makes him so great. He sets goals and then he goes to achieve it.
I know that it must have killed you when the Bias kid died.
Well, there's no way to read it. You see, you take a guy like Len Bias. Before the draft, the Knicks examined him. We examined him. Golden State examined him. He was 100%. There's no evidence of drugs or anything like that. This was an all-American kid, a super kid. I knew him well. I had dinner with the kid and his folks. He spent one session at my camp at the end of his junior year. So, you know, I knew him very well. But he was so excited and elated of being drafted that he just jumped. He thought this was a high.
Is the future of the game imperiled by drugs, do you think?
No, I don't think so. I really don't. I think the kids are getting smart. I think basically, I'd say 90% of your people that indulge in drugs on a professional level have started it in junior high school or high school. I don't even believe they started in college. I think it's before that.
When you sit there in the stands, isn't there ever a moment when you say, I got to get down on the bench. I got to play. I want to give these guys. I want to have them do something. No?
I made up my mind from the day I retired that I will not interfere with a coach. Because when I coached, I didn't want anybody interfering with me. It was my job to either do it or get fired, and it's his job to do it or get fired. If he wanted to know something, he'd come over and ask me, or we'd have a meeting, or we'd have a discussion, or go over something. But I would not interfere, per se, during the progress of a practice or of a game. Never.
You realize that you produced Russell, Heinsohn, Casey Jones, all of them won NBA championships. You must have been a pretty good teacher.
Well, you forgot Sharman. He won it with L.A. He won a championship.
I was thinking more in terms of your ball club. Because after all, hey, look, I'm not patting you on the back because, as you said before, the record shows for itself. But it must have been tough as hell for those guys to come in with that record and all those banners, you know, and now you got to win a championship.
No, I don't have to. All I ever asked them when they took the job is do the best with what you have. That's all I could ask.
What did you think was wrong with the Knicks franchise? You must have thought about it.
Well, they used to waste a lot of money, and that used to bother me. It's all right to spend money if you wind up with something for it, but they used to waste a lot of money, and everybody, as a result, when they see that money out there, they were more interested in the money than the game. And the players would lose sight that the name of the game was to win, not to have personal achievements. And one of the secrets of the Celtics was that they were paid in relation to their contribution toward winning. Whereas in the Knicks, all they would negotiate with was statistics.
How close did you come to taking the Knicks job a couple of years ago?
Well, very close, because I went down and met with Sonny Werwin at the time, and we more or less agreed everything fit in place. We had a deal. And it was never a question of money or negotiations in any form. But I went back to Boston, and the people on the street, they saw the New York papers and Boston papers, and they kept after me, and it became an emotional thing. And rather than call up, when I made a decision, I didn't call up Sonny Werwin. I took my lawyer, and we went down to see him in person to tell him that I wasn't going to do it.
Can you imagine what would have happened if he had come to New York? Speaking of the Knicks, they are still pondering to coach, to general manage. That is.
And enjoy the NBA here on